What is going on, good people of YouTube? I'm ImJslay. Thank you so much for joining me, and wherever you are, I hope you're having a great day. Today we're playing some Madden 21, but before we get into it, if you enjoy the content, leave a like rating, and if you'd like to see more, hit the subscribe button and turn the notification bell on to stay updated with all of my uploads. If you missed our previous video, I'll leave a link in the description of this video for you to go check it out. If you were unaware, we have other videos related to this series where we discuss the top 3 budget players at each position. The previous video was the top 3 budget running backs currently in Madden 21. Be sure to go check that video out. So, for today's video, I'm going to be discussing who I feel currently in Madden 21 are the top 3 budget safeties, and be sure to stick around for number 1. You are not going to believe the attributes on this card and why I feel it is the clear-cut number 1 budget safety, and one I can promise you everyone can afford. Before I jump into it, I did allude that yes, there is other videos related to this series on the channel. Click on the card in the top right hand corner. It's going to take you right over to the playlist where you will be able to see the other videos that go along with this series, and then you can come back over and watch this video, or you can watch this video and go watch the other ones first. It really doesn't matter, but I feel that you should check this out if you are looking to save some coins on some players. This is the series for you. Today, we are doing the top 3 budget safeties. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and hop right in to the first card. Okay, coming in at number 3 is going to be free safety of the Pittsburgh Steelers at 93 overall, Minkah Fitzpatrick. Now, before I discuss his attributes and why I feel that he is worthy of this accolade, I do want to say that in doing my research prior to going through and actually making this video, every single card that I looked up was going to be under 100K or right there at it. I have looked on the auction house, all 3 of the cards, and a couple of them are going to be over that 100K mark, at least what we see up on the auction house right now. Do not fret though, I know you'll be able to get these cards for under 100K. I have seen them on a couple of occasions when doing research prior to this video. I have seen them for under 100K, so you can definitely hang out. It may take you a little bit before you're able to snag one for under 100K, but I can promise you, you will be. But nonetheless, let's go ahead. I'm going to tell you why I feel like this is a valuable card first and foremost. So let's take a look going from left to right. So the dude comes with his base card at 92 speed and 95 acceleration. Now, it does have a power-up. You are going to need a few items to fully power him up, but when you have him fully powered up and have 40 sprinters, which you should have by now, I would recommend you guys to prioritize getting sprinters, the chemistry sprinter, on all of your players, or all of your important players, right? I'm talking about your wide receivers, your quarterback, your tight end, your linebackers, your safeties, your corners, right? You don't want to put them on your D linemen. You don't want to put them on your edge rushers. You don't want to put them on your offensive linemen because that is going to affect their strength. But you want to get them on those corners, safeties, etc. That way they're going to have +2 speed once you get 40 sprinters. There's also going to have +2 acceleration. You put this guy, fully power him up, he's going to have 95 speed and 97 acceleration when you have 40 sprinters. That's insane, right? That's really awesome. Now, if you know how we structure our defense, and I'm going to have a defensive video that I'll be putting out very soon, going through my substitutions, going through how I call plays, but you know that our safeties are playing linebacker. One thing with the free safety that you have to keep in mind is you cannot go to the sub-linebacker spots on your depth chart and put a free safety there. You can put a strong safety and you can put a linebacker, but you cannot put a free safety. However, you can put Minkah Fitzpatrick in at free safety and you can substitute him in at linebacker. That's what I currently do with Steve Atwater. But Minkah Fitzpatrick, I would love to play at the safety position with these attributes, right? The dude has 95 zone coverage without even being powered up. You go ahead and get tier 10 lockdown, that's going to go all the way up to 99 zone coverage, right? Solid hit power, solid man coverage when you consider you're going to be using him at linebacker. Even if you do use him at safety, safeties are not going to be put in man coverage very often, so just keep that in mind. In fact, him positioned as a linebacker, he would most likely be in man coverage more often than he would be at a safety, so that's actually a little bit of a disadvantage. But if you get him powered up, he's going to actually go up to 94 man coverage, which at the linebacker spot is pretty solid, right? 75 tackle is not that good. 93 play rec is pretty solid. He has 89 pursuit. It would be 90 when he's powered up. Let's come down and take a look at some of the other important stats, right? Change of direction. So if this is your user, that 89 change of direction stat is not terrible, but it's not the greatest, right? I've got Bob Sanders currently as my user with 92 change of direction. So when you're in the middle of the field trying to cover multiple areas, that change of direction stat attribute is going to come in pretty handy. 89 is not terrible, especially for a budget card, right? It would go down a little bit once you have Sprinter on there. It would go up to 90 with the fully powered up version of Minkah Fitzpatrick. It would come down to 88 once you add Sprinters on. That is a little bit of a drawback, unfortunately. 59 block shed is where this card is going to struggle, especially at the linebacker position, right? So you may want to consider playing him at safety if you don't have the coins to fully build out a roster where you can put some players at different positions, right? So that 59 block shed is not going to affect too bad there, right? So having said all of that, that's why I feel that this card is definitely worth a look on your roster for sure, especially if you are on a budget. Now let's take a look at a couple other factors here. First off, if you go ahead and power him up, you can pick up for pretty cheap, 1K. 2.4K for this 82 overall. Chances are you've got a power-up pass laying around in your binder. If you don't, 2.4K for this low 82 end overall. Between the 82 and 84 is what the power-up pass is. 2.4K for this low-end card is not expensive at all, right? So we're at about 3K right now, right? You're going to need this 85 overall Superstar MVP card, right? So that's going for about 12K. So we're up about 15K right now. You do not need this 88 overall card. You can buy it and put it in the power up, or you can simply bypass that by using training, right? Just FYI. This is 15K. I don't necessarily think that you would need to spend 15K on the training to go from 85 up to a 90 or an 86 up to a 90, what it would be in the power up. So just keep that in mind. I don't think it would make sense to spend 15K on this card. You could probably buy other cards, quick sell them for training cheaper than you could for buying this card and putting it in the power up. Finally, we've got the 93 overall card that we're talking about. Now, as you can see here, it's up for 106K. I saw it when doing research for under 100K. It was around the 94K mark, right? So if you do fully powered up, yes, you're going to be spending over 100K, but it might be worth it, especially if you've got 40 sprinters. It's going to have 95 speed, meeting that threshold, and then it's obviously going to be well over 95 acceleration, right? The dude comes with 95 acceleration base or 94 acceleration, whatever it was. So nonetheless, it is a little over 100K at this moment in time, but I know you could find it for under 100K if you just waited a little bit. This is recording at 11 o'clock at night. Most of the cards are going to be a little more expensive. I'm on Eastern time zone, by the way. Most of the cards are going to be a little more expensive at nighttime. So just keep that in mind. If you're able to find these during the day, they're most likely going to be a little cheaper. So Minkah Fitzpatrick, long-winded, but Minkah Fitzpatrick, number 3 on the list, a solid budget card. Go out and grab him. Okay, this next card I feel like has probably gotten slept on a lot throughout the course of this Ultimate Team life cycle. This is 92 overall Indianapolis Colts strong safety Khari Willis. Now, one thing I did not touch on when we were talking about Minkah Fitzpatrick is the archetype. Fitzpatrick had the zone archetype. Khari Willis has the zone archetype as well. What this means is, for those that have zone and run support archetypes, you can actually put the flat zone KO on these players for 1 ability point. The hybrid safeties, it's going to be a 2 ability point ability. So, you know abilities are huge, especially on our channel here, right? That is one thing that I build my roster around, is how I can save ability points, not have to spend extra ability points where I don't need to, because then I'll be able to put more abilities on my players and have them out on the field, right? The zone ability safeties can be put in flats a lot. Now, I use them at linebacker. So when I'm using them as my outside linebackers, I'm putting them in hard flats. I'm putting them in curl flats. They're going to be in those more often, most often in my defense, and so they're going to benefit from this ability, right? So that's one thing I did not touch on with Minkah Fitzpatrick. Another reason why I feel like these are great safeties to have on the squad, especially if you use them at linebacker like I do. For this Khari Willis card, man, just take a look at it. No power up. Gonna come slightly under that 95 speed threshold when you have Sprinter. As you can see, 92 speed, 92 acceleration. So it's gonna have 94 at most, unless you run a Colts theme team. And then obviously it's going to be at 97 at max, right? Which is, on a Colts team, you definitely want to have this card, right? Let's take a look at some of the other stats and why I feel like as a linebacker and even as a user, this would be a solid card. 88 tackle, 90 pursuit. You love to see good pursuit angles from your linebackers and your safeties. 92 zone. So once you have the tier 10 lockdown, that's going to go all the way up to 97 zone over that 95 threshold. You like to see that definitely from a budget card. 91 hit power. This is a broken record. Guys don't fumble, but if they did fumble, that 91 hit power is pretty solid, right? Especially from a safety. 86 man coverage, not the greatest there, obviously. If you are taking advantage of the zone archetype and putting flat zone KO on Khari Willis, that 86 man coverage isn't going to matter because most likely you're going to be calling zone plays most often, right? Come down, take a look at some of the other stats. 5'11", as a user, not too bad, right? I'm using a 5'8" Bob Sanders as my user, and he's doing just fine, so 5'11" is not going to be that bad. 88 change of direction, this would slip all the way down to 86 if you had Sprinter, right? So if you're maximizing your speed with Khari Willis like you should be, there is going to be a detriment to 86 change of direction. That's not that great, to be honest with you. However, you can still play around it, right? And as a budget card, it's pretty solid. Finally, the 77 block shed from a linebacker is not terrible. Yes, an actual linebacker is going to have a lot better block shed, but from a safety playing down and the advantage of actually getting those animations, those jumping animations when you go to deflect or pick off passes, which is why we put the safeties at linebacker. If you didn't know, the linebackers, they play not very well, right? When you go to pick a pass off or deflect a pass, you press the jump button, they're not going to jump. The ball's going to go right literally over their helmet, and they're going to act like there's nothing there at all, right? You don't have to worry about that with the safeties, with the corners. They make and get those jumping animations when you go to deflect and pick off passes. That's why we put safeties at linebackers. Reason there. 77 block shed is not going to be too bad, right? It's not going to hurt you that much, especially when you consider Minkah Fitzpatrick block shed at 57. That's pretty bad, right? But take a look at his price here, right? So 68K and 66K, right? Well under that 100K. There was another card that I was going to show here, and I'll just go ahead and pull him up so you can actually see. But it was this Jaquiski Tartt card. Not Tat, Tartt. So Jaquiski Tartt is selling for 150K right now. I'm shaking my head no because he's not selling for 150K. I don't know why this is the only card for his up right now. This card was selling for about 94K when I was doing my research. You could hang out and you could get this card, but I can't talk about this card in a budget video when the only card that's up is for 150K, because that's not a budget, right? That wouldn't make any sense. But I do want to call this card out. You can get it for under 100K. This is the second card that I was going to put, but that Khari Willis card is pretty awesome, and you're saving a good bit right now. You're even saving about 30K over what Tartt would be. So nonetheless, the Tartt, let's take a look at his stats, because I do want to show you why. He has base 93 speed and 94 acceleration. It would be at 95 and 96 when you have all the sprinters on that you'll need. So that's why I like this card. The main drawback is that 83 change of direction, which would go to 81 change of direction if you had 40 sprinters. So not that great of change of direction, to be honest with you. The 78 block shed is pretty solid. But other than the speed, right, you can see Khari Willis' stats are pretty much on par with this one right here. Tartt is a little taller, but other than the speed, Khari Willis is a pretty solid option, and that's why he comes in at number 2. Okay, if you stuck around to the very end of the video, you are about to see a treat here. This is the #1 budget card at safety. This dude's stats are absolutely insane for a 91 overall card. He does have the zone archetype, so you would be able to put flat zone K on him for 1 ability point. He is a free safety, so unlike Khari Willis and Jaquiski Tartt, you will not be able to substitute him at sub linebacker if you're using him at the linebacker position. However, if you put him at free safety, remember you can put him and substitute him in as a linebacker when you get out onto the field, right? But let's look at these stats because they're absolutely insane for this card and for the cost of this card. 94 speed, 95 acceleration. That's wild stuff right there. It's going to be 96 and 97 when you have 40 sprinters. Just insane. The coverage stats are not that great, but you're going to be using this card. So you're going to be the one that's covering this. This is definitely a user. This is not someone you want the CPU controlling. You're going to have 96 speed, 97 acceleration as the user with sprinters. That's going to make these coverage stats not really matter as much because you're going to be controlling him, right? 73 man is terrible. 85 zone is not great at all. It is going to be boosted when you're at Tier 10 lockdown, which I would recommend you guys prioritize. The 87 hit power is not on par with some of the others. However, once again, guys don't fumble, so it really doesn't matter, right? But the speed and the acceleration is what sets this guy apart. 6 foot, so he's got good height. And let's come down. You can see he's at 69 block shed, right? Not the greatest, but not the worst either, right? So as a user, though, you're going to be using your skills on the sticks to make plays with Brian Dawkins. That's why you don't want anybody else to be using him. You don't want the CPU to be using him. You're going to be doing that, right? But this card is a budget card in every sense of the word. The speed is incredible. The acceleration is incredible. And you can pick him up for 38K. Insane. You can pick him up for 38K. You can save coins to where you can go actually spin and get you better players at other positions, right? This card is absolutely insane. It is a new card that just recently launched with the Ultimate Legends promo. If you don't know, there's about 4 or 5 Brian Dawkins in the game. This one is the 91 overall card. I believe there's a 89, a 91, a 95, and his 97 or 98 Ultimate Legend card. I believe it's a 97 card. But this is the one you want to look for. 38K. Those attributes are insane. You're going to be using this card. Use them at safety. Get those jumping animations when you go to deflect or pick off passes. You'll be glad you did that. Get the sprinters. Prioritize that. Get lockdown. Prioritize that. This card's going to play really well. Brian Dawkins is the #1 card. Okay, so that is going to do it for this video. I hope you did enjoy. If you did, leave a like rating. If you have a comment, a question related to the video, if you don't agree with something, if you do agree with something, if I didn't explain something properly, let me know in the comment section down below. I love interacting with each and every one of you down there. And if you'd like to see more content, hit the subscribe button and turn the notification bell on to stay updated with all of my uploads. I'm ImJslay, signing out today. I'll catch you all on my next video.